Hi, I'm Natasha Ryan with Premier Risk Solutions, and this is our video series, Strong, Safe, and True, where we sit down with leaders in the security industry to talk about topics relevant to today's climate. I am very happy to have my friend Scott Kelly from Fred Hutch on today to discuss what's going on in downtown Seattle and how that could potentially affect his campus and employees, because they are returning to work and he's hearing concerns about being in the downtown area and the transportation to and from.
Concerns are from people who haven't been here for a year. They have to come back to work and everything's changed. Not only is their commute to work changed, when they get to work, things have changed. This campus is different. So from when you leave home until you get to work, it's completely different to them.
And what are there physical safety concerns coming back?
There are, when you have the obvious one, right? The COVID risk of being out in public and getting on public transportation. You have to consider, what does that mean? It's an unknown right now. And so do people want to take that chance, and what does that mean? From King County Metro to South Lake Union Transit, are the safety precautions in place? Are people going to follow the guidelines that are, from social distancing to wearing a mask? And what's their standard operation for keeping that bus clean?
And then what about looking out the window? What are the concerns there, like as far as coming into the city?
Well, you're seeing a whole new landscape. You're not seeing business people around. You're seeing buildings and storefronts boarded up. It's completely different. And when you see that, even from myself, from a security professional, a long time in the business, it brings a sense of fear and unknown. Why is that? What's going on down here? And that gives you that intimate feeling of concern and safety, because you don't recognize what you see when you're coming downtown.
Fear of a lack of help if they find themselves in a bad situation. Absolutely.
It's been well publicized, the amount of Seattle police officers that have left, retired, transitioned. And so the boots on the ground from a Seattle police enforcement and response perspective is diminished greatly. And that is absolutely, factually, resulted in extended, dispatch times. You place a call to 911, it's not what it used to be. You're looking at minutes, several minutes, and that's a resource-driven result of the amount of police officers in the West Precinct for the downtown corridor and South Lake Union.
And you're hearing, are employees asking you, do you think I'll get help if I call 911? Have you heard them ask those kinds of questions?
I have, yeah, and I'm honest with them. I tell them what to expect. I need them to have the knowledge and to be ready and to know what to do and what to expect. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I have a responsibility to our staff. And not only have I heard it, I've experienced it myself from dialing 911. I've heard it directly from PD and other security and business professionals around town. The concern is real. And so that factor of, what's going to happen when I call 911, how soon is the response going to get to me, is something that has to be factored into your day-to-day commute.
So then when you hear these kinds of questions, what kind of assurances are you giving your employees? How are you making them feel protected?
Yeah, great question. There's one thing right away that I tell people is trust your instincts. Trust your gut. If something doesn't look right, cross the street, always trust your gut instinct. It's telling you something for a reason. So listen to it and do what you need to do. I also tell them, be aware of your surroundings. Always look. If you're at an intersection, look at, okay, where, am I at 3rd and Pike? Where am I? Call 911. And when you call 911, be ready to explain where you're at. I think a lot of people, when they call 911, they're in a panic situation and they don't know their location. So I tell people, just be ready. When you're walking, just kind of pay attention to what cross street you're on, what intersection on. because when you're calling 911, the questions are coming pretty rapid fire, and you are likely going to be in a stress situation. So, I tell them what to expect as well when you call 911, and kind of how to handle that.
What are you doing on campus as far as ramping up security here?
Well, thankfully our campus here in South Lake Union, we've maintained a steady state of security being essential personnel. So we've actually expanded our campus and increased. And so from our standpoint, we've benefited from that not being a net result of COVID and staffing down. We've been able to maintain staffing levels. Now, from a security perspective, we've definitely changed our perspective on how we're conducting our business, right? So more exterior patrols, watching points of entry, paying attention, around, big focus on certain areas of campus, so we can kind of divert our resources and pay attention to known spots where there's a potential concern, which is backed up by metrics and data and what we hear from our teams and our staff.
And over this past year, have you seen more incidents you've had to respond to?
Absolutely. It's the persons in crisis that we deal with, and I think that's a wonderful term. It's the city attorney from Seattle came up with that term, and I find it fantastic because it's not judgmental, because you don't know what a person's going through, if they're acting erratically or what that might be. So a person in crisis, I find, is just a tremendous way to describe it. So we deal with that almost on a daily basis, and so it's a result of COVID. First and foremost, with the stay-at-home order, that is the same for our encampments here in South Lake Union.
Do you offer things like escorts for your employees? Like, is that something that you're doing?
Absolutely, and we promote that. It's a big campus, and so yeah, we'll walk them to their car, especially when it's dark out. If you're in the parking lot or the garage, that's absolutely that's mandatory for us. We promote that diligently, and I think that's a must in any security program for their employees.
And talking about staffing levels with PD, everyone in your position says collaboration with police departments is vital, right, for everyone's safety. Are you seeing that being as effective since so many officers have left?
That's a great question, and it's effective, but the tactics have changed. We used to have community police teams, which would come out. A CPT is somebody who goes out and builds relationships in the community and kind of responds to chronic issues. There was a navigation team that we worked with, and when you take those two out of the equation, that's two valued resources that I've leveraged for many years, to protect our people and property here on South Lake Union. So the tactics have changed, because now you have to be more savvy in how you're leveraging your PD resources. There's a crime prevention coordinator at the West Precinct that does a great job, has a lot of resources that will actually come out and do site assessments, will educate you, will give you all of the information that you need from a city resource. For example, signing up for Smart 911, getting the citywide alerts, following Twitter, following the media, leveraging those resources, getting to know your contacts at your local precinct, and calling them and voicing your concern, and so that's what we've done. And it's different, but it's still effective. You have to grease the wheel. You have to get to know them. You have to voice your concern. You have to document. You have to educate your people to call 911. If you see it, report it, because metrics drive resources. If they're pulling up South Lake Union, East Lake, Fairview, or Mercer, and they're seeing a huge spike in auto thefts or what it may be, guess what? They're going to look at that and they're going to start putting more resources in my neighborhood and campus. And so, you know, all of that kind of is a way to make the best out of the situation.
I mean, you are a campus that has people coming on, going right up here to this facility to get treatment for cancer. The last thing they probably need or want on their mind is their physical safety on top of what they're going through emotionally. If you could appeal to city leaders making these decisions, taking away these resources from the police department, what would you say to them?
I would say first and foremost, you have to leverage the concern for individuals in crisis with people who are working to find the cure for cancer, and for patients who are coming onto this campus who are immunocompromised and who are at great risk due to health and fitness and for many reasons. And so I would ask them that they really assess, you know, both sides of the spectrum, you know, the community outreach and compassion with the mission to cure cancer and treat people who are in a dire situation. You know, that safety aspect of people coming to work or patients coming to the Seattle Cancer Care Alliance or coming from the Pete Rose House or the patient housing in the neighborhood, it makes a difference. People travel here from all over the world. Researchers come here. You know, this is a well-known place, and we take pride in that. And so, you know, I would ask that you know, that long-term goal of what we're trying to do and fight that good fight is weighed heavily for what we're trying to do.
And of course, a big thanks to Scott. Very interesting to hear that perspective on downtown Seattle. PRS is here to help in any way we can. We offer executive protection. We do security consulting, including risk and threat assessment. We do traditional agent work. We do event security. So if you need anything, feel free to email me at natasha@premierrisksolutions.com, and be sure to continue to check out our website for more blogs just like this one, premierrisksolutions.com. Thanks, everyone.